Oh, we're live.
Oh, we're live.
Okay.
No
Are we
games
live?
tonight.
Okay, stop saying offensive things now.
But what if
You
I
have to wait for
can't?
the after show for that.
I was gonna keep
Okay.
talking about our internal secrets and
All those leaks
Yeah.
about the
Android Lollipop and
Yeah.
whatnots.
Do we have
I
viewers
mean-
yet?
I don't know.
Because we should probably let everybody know that if you're on the podcast post and you're seeing that the chat is deprecated, you can click on the Kiwi IRC link, log in with the channel set to #AndroidPolice, and you can get in that way.
This one is better than the old one, but Cody says that native clients are better, which I'm sure they are, but I don't have time for that
Ain't no one
Nobody
got
got
time
time.
for native clients.
ever.
Except
Like not
I-
even afterwards or on the weekends or something. No, I can't.
Yeah, that just happened. Did he intentionally say
I think so.
He heard that?
I'm surprised there are like 3 people in the chat room about that. Of course,
Yeah,
what
one
is
viewer.
Jason, so that doesn't count.
One viewer.
I'd like to say hello to our single solitary viewer.
Oh, no, it says 9.
Thank you.
Split personalities, I guess.
Viewing. Look at all these. JK's Trust. That Justin's
Why
alter
am
ego.
I having trouble retrieving my voicemail
Maybe,
or an email?
You could just like add to the text of the post right above that thing just to tell people how to log in until we fix it.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Click on
something.
Kiwi, type in Android Police.
Hold on. I'm trying something now. And there we go. I fixed it.
Cameron, I know this is going to be hugely disappointing, but I'm not coming to Dallas this fall.
What? Why?
I'm just not. The thing that I usually go there for is going to be in Nashville this year, so I'm driving down to Nashville.
I'm just not. Fuck you. I'm just not coming.
Why aren't you? I'm not.
I realized that you're going to be
not?
there, so
I know. That's basically it.
I feel like I sound like a jerk like 90% of the time, and I don't mean to.
I was about to type in the chat that it looks like the chat is fixed, and then I realized that. Well.
Yeah, it just looks different now, but yeah, I embedded the new one, so yeah, it totally works now. If you just refresh.
That's like sending an email to tell people that the email is down.
We have software that does that, Matt.
What?
We support software that does that.
That's true, we do. Actually, our alert says it's still in local approval mode, with the idea being that if it gets through, that means there's something wrong.
There's so many features. Somebody has some mad beatboxing skills.
It's not me.
Not you.
Justin's gonna get the Mac Pro. I'm jealous.
We good to start?
I believe so.
Spreadsheet.
Gonna have to watch that later.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, May 29th, 2014. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm Cameron Summerson.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitlam.
And I'm Bob Severance.
That's true. All of those things are true. So sorry if anybody's having problems getting into the chat. We had to update the website, so if you haven't refreshed the page, refresh it now. It should be working. Just might look a little bit different than it did before. So we have that going for you. So let's get things kicked off with the rumor roundup. All right, so news coming out of the Wall Street Journal this week regarding Samsung doing something that, Lord, I would hope that Samsung is the only one who would do. It looks like they might be working on a smartwatch that's designed to really not so much act as a companion to your smartphone, but to kind of replace your smartphone, which, I don't know, seems pretty unlikely to me, Ryan. What are your thoughts?
Well, so this is still rumory, but it kind of sounds like the sort of thing Samsung would do, doesn't it? I mean, they make all sorts of bizarre tablets for overseas that have voice capabilities. So the idea is that this will be more or less a Gear 2 variant that has a SIM card of its own. So it would get it would have its own dedicated cellular connection. Presumably you could still tether it to devices, but it would be able to do things on its own without being connected to anything, which I guess might make it useful if, for example, you wanted to take it running or something and stream music to Bluetooth earbuds or something like that. But it'll probably run Tizen when and if it exists, and I guess we'll find out more later, maybe, if it exists.
I hope it has a 40-lumen projector that projects the time on any walls or flat surfaces near me.
Yeah, and a laser keyboard.
Yes, and a laser keyboard. Perfect. Well, apparently Samsung isn't the only one who has their eyes on a new smartwatch. Well, that's obviously not news because everybody has their eyes on a new smartwatch. And this time around, it's a first rumor we really heard from Microsoft. And normally we don't talk about Microsoft a whole lot on this show because, well, it's an Android show. But this one might be of some interest for Android users out there, right, Liam?
Yeah. So there were some rumblings before about Microsoft doing a smartwatch back when, for some reason, an explosion of smartwatch rumors happened. But the new rumor has a couple of exciting things. Well, really only one exciting thing, and that is that supposedly the smartwatch would be cross-platform, so it would work with Windows Phone, obviously, but iOS and Android as well. And it might have a heart rate sensor and whatever, etc. smartwatch features. But the important part is that it might be Android compatible.
I think Microsoft even has to realize that not a lot of Windows Phone users out there, so if they want people to want or buy their smartwatch, they're going to need to make it compatible with the operating systems people actually use.
Right.
I don't think they're going to release it with, I mean, what do they have, like 2% of the market share or something?
Yeah, I mean,
incredibly low like that. So
yeah, if they're lucky.
You don't really get to be successful when you think, if I can just convince 30% of the bottom 2% to buy this thing, it's really not going to get you. Now we haven't really heard anything from the Android Wear platform as far as cross-platform compatibility, have we?
We haven't,
I don't think so.
I know that it's specifically like Android apps are going to have a really easy time basically mirroring their notifications. Like to create a notification stack, like a collection, like how you can expand in Android. It's apparently like a one-line code change. I don't know. I'm assuming it would work with iOS to pass notifications back and forth, but I don't know if the search functionality would work or if the voice command stuff would work.
I imagine it would probably be a very basic feature set. It would probably act more like, like a Pebble or something if you connect it to a non-Android device.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, so let's move on to Motorola. So apparently the Moto X isn't exactly the newest and freshest handset off the line, but it looks like there might be a refresh coming that indicates a little bit of a higher storage capacity, right, Ryan?
Yeah, so if you were hoping for the Moto X Plus 1 to appear in the near future, apparently Motorola is actually still messing around with the Moto X because there is supposedly a 64 gigabyte option on the way. Somebody noticed in the code of the Moto Maker site that there was an option to select 64 gigabytes, and indeed the graphics for it are there. According to the website, it will cost $100 more than the base 16 gigabyte model. So not a huge upsell, but still I guess it's $50 for every doubling of the storage capacity. So that happened, and then a few days later we got some leaked Sprint docs that mentioned the 64 gigabyte Moto X, but interestingly they list the date as a few days ago for its availability. So obviously it missed that date, and we don't know if it was just pushed back. I guess it's also technically possible that maybe Motorola decided they didn't need to release a 64 gigabyte version of the phone. So for all we know, it'll never happen, and this will just be a weird blip on the radar. But I guess if you really, really need more storage and you don't want to wait for the new version of the X, then maybe just wait and see if the 64 gig comes out.
Alrighty then. So last on the rumor mill is Lenovo. They apparently have revealed, they've leaked some images of an upcoming Vibe 2 Pro handset. So Cam, what's the story with the Vibe Z2 Pro?
It's a 6-inch Lenovo phone, and it supposedly has a Quad HD display, a huge 4,000 milliamp battery, and a 16 megapixel rear camera, and a Snapdragon 801. But yeah, that's basically it. LTE support, kind of. Well, I guess that's slightly surprising. I don't know. I'm not really up to date on Lenovo phones. I don't really know many diehard Android people who are. But this one actually looks pretty decent, I suppose. I doubt we'll ever see it in the U.S., though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine Motorola will just be their U.S. brand. They're probably not going to bother to expand the Lenovo smartphone brand into the U.S. That would be
I wonder if they'll cross-release anything. Like the rest of the world will get the Lenovo Vibe Z2, and the U.S. will get the Motorola big-ass phone X or something.
Maybe,
I'm hoping that's an official name.
As long as the U.S. version doesn't run Lenovo's ridiculous skin, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot to look at in these shots, but it just looks really silly. Like the battery icon is massive and toy-like and stuff.
Hey, so you know what? I'm just gonna change something on the spreadsheet here real quick. So talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, hey guys, how's it going?
It's okay.
Remind me.
It's going stupendously, Cameron. How about you?
It's going quite wonderfully while Matt hacks away at the spreadsheet mid-show. I like it.
Kind
All
of.
right, so let's
happens
move on to
like
Code
this.
Google.
Oh.
All right, so news coming out this week about an upcoming device that might be coming as soon as Google I/O that appears to be a tablet based on the Project Tango model that we saw in phone form previously. So, Cam, what's the story here? What are we expecting to see here?
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, Google is developing a tablet version of Tango, so it's a 7-inch display tablet. So Nexus 7 styled, I imagine, but it's going to have all the sensors and whatnot that Tango has for its space awareness features and all that. But the thing is, the really interesting part about this, it's just they're working on the phone, so it's not really a big surprise that they'd be working on a tablet. But the interesting thing is that they are developing 4,000 prototype units that starting early next month. So that's pretty close to Google I/O, and that 4,000 number is pretty specific. So we're thinking that maybe developers who go to I/O will get one of these tablets to start developing and developing for and see what sort of applications they can come up with that utilize all these sensors and whatnot. That's part of Tango.
They could also get a good market reading on how they should price it based on eBay sales, right?
doing.
But the 4,000 number is pretty close to how many seats or whatever, how many spaces there are at I/O, if I am remembering correctly. So I feel like that might happen.
Yeah.
Cool.
So according to this rumor, it's yeah, like I said, a 7-inch tablet with dual cameras, infrared depth sensors, and advanced software. So I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think we can safely assume that one thing they probably won't be giving out at Google I/O is self-driving cars, but they did actually reveal a prototype of one this week, and it's got a lot of bells and whistles and 3D aware sensors. So, Cam, what's going on with the self-driving car prototype?
Man, this thing is so freaking cool. Okay, it looks kind of goofy. It looks like a mouse or a koala bear or some other small sort of like cutesy animal. It's really funny looking, but oh my god, it's so cool. It doesn't have no steering wheel, no brake, no gas. I mean, it's just like you get in and you're like, all right, take me to wherever you want to go, and it's going to take you there. Right now, it's governed to 25 miles an hour since this is just a prototype. I don't think this one is technically street legal either because it doesn't have gas, brake, or steering wheel. So this was a very isolated sort of demonstration where they showed it off. But, I mean, the point is there's a working prototype at this point. I mean, you know, built from the ground up for this specific purpose. It can see for over, I mean, see, you know, however it sees things, whatever, for over 200 yards in all directions, which is pretty amazing. So, I mean that's pretty impressive. I wouldn't think that a self-driving car would have that kind of range. So it's really cool that it does. But they've already said that they're going to start working on building a couple hundred prototypes. I think they said 200, maybe it was 400. Either way, a few hundred prototypes that actually have steering wheel, gas, and brakes, so they can be street legal, and they're going to start doing it over the next couple of years. Start doing more, you know, real world testing with driverless vehicles, self-driving vehicles rather.
I think it's cool that, I mean, I feel like we didn't hear a lot about the self-driving car project for a long time, and then now they came out with software video showing how it knows like what a bicyclist is and what a pedestrian is, and it knows like if the bicyclist is being indecisive, and then all of a sudden they have this car that they made that they just like made a car without a steering wheel or any controls or anything.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, everything that they're doing with this, there are a lot of really cool videos on the self-driving car project Google Plus page, and I mean, it's absolutely fascinating.
One thing that I'm wondering, and I know this has probably been hashed to death at this point, but the whole idea of like if self-driving cars only kind of trickle out, like people don't like, you know, obviously all cars at once aren't going to be replaced with driverless cars. So how, like, I want to know how the software makes the decisions between like if there are two possible things that you could hit, swerve one, hit the other, or like how it makes the judgment of like how to avoid something.
It's the iRobot quandary, right?
Yeah, I was about to say Google's self-driving car follows the 3 laws of robotics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's a legit question. There's so many questions. I have so many questions about this project. Just stuff like that. I mean, real world use case, like how does it work? What is it going to do in certain situations when, you know, I mean, if I'm riding down the road and all of a sudden, you know, a cyclist pulls out in front of me and I have the option of hit the cyclist and potentially kill them or ram into a telephone pole, obviously I'm going to hit the telephone pole so I don't kill somebody. But is a machine going to be able to, you know, to make that judgment for me? Like,
well, and depending on how fast you're going, it might injure you or kill you too. So which one gets priority?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Or would it steer you into an accident to prevent a pedestrian from being hit by another car? If it's really following the laws of robotics, technically it would have to do that.
Yeah, it totally would. I mean, it's just there are so many questions, and I think during the initial phases, I mean, over the next, I say, decade, while this really starts to take hold and we start to see, you know, maybe in Well, they said they're going to really test it over the next couple of years. So after maybe 5 years, it starts to become more widely available and whatnot. And of course, laws are going to have to be state regulated. Every state's going to have to say, yes, we allow this. But let's say in the next 10 years, it becomes more and more common, but you still have cars that are not self-driven. I think that's going to be the most crucial point.
Right. And also, like, people are going to get irritated if there's a self-driving car in front of them going like 20 miles an hour, or like going the exact speed limit.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, am I going to be able to tell my self-driving car to speed? Because
no, the laws will say like, you're not allowed. You'll have to jailbreak your car, or you'll have to get root access on the car if you want it to go faster than the speed limit. But I mean, otherwise, but then you have to relock the bootloader before you take it in to be serviced. Otherwise, you'll avoid the warranty. So
yeah, I mean,
I think that making the prototype car so cute and adorable was a strategic move to call me crazy.
Oh yeah, I did. I absolutely.
I think they wanted to make it look as friendly and like unassuming and cute as possible.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have made it look like a tank, people would have been like, "Holy shit, it's a self-driving tank." But
Google has.
I mean, if they want to make a self-driving tank.
Yeah, Google has the self-driving armored vehicles hidden from view. They're in a bunker deep in the Googleplex, ready to be deployed at a moment's notice.
Yeah, but I think ultimately, when the entire world is, or at least the country, is, it's nothing but self-driving cars. I mean, can you imagine like the dramatic decrease in accidents, especially fatal accidents?
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be like a weird transitional period, though, because I guarantee you there will be a lot of accidents with self-driving cars, but it'll probably be the fault of the people driving real cars.
Right.
Nevertheless, people will spin it as, look how dangerous these self-driving cars are. Look how many accidents there are.
Something else
Didn't it say in that video? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention how once the transition hits kind of a tipping point, I mean, a lot of cities use speeding tickets and traffic violations for revenue. Yeah. So once all of those are eliminated by robots driving the car, like, what's going to happen there?
Wow, I never even thought about that.
I mean, if pretty much everybody has a car that's able to drive itself, they can like mesh together and hopefully we'll be able to go faster without having any sort of
I think
safety issues. So maybe the speed limit
you know what? You know what'd be even better? If the people who use parking tickets, I mean, all cities use parking tickets and speeding tickets, like you said, for revenue. Maybe instead of worrying about trying to do that for revenue, they can actually get out and fight some real fucking crime.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
they'll just make parking tickets 3 times as expensive because your robot car's too far.
Yeah, they probably will.
I heard Mike Elgin say earlier today that actually if there's a group of these cars together, they can actually kind of like link up and get really close to each other so they can all go like in a straight line together.
Yeah, that's what needs to happen.
How does he know? How does he know that?
Well, they have like range finding stuff on the bumpers to make sure they don't get too close. So I guess maybe if it knows like that's another self-driving car, they can like go, okay, well I can speed up because I know.
But if it can see those distances, it can predict it pretty accurately what the other vehicle's going to do because they're coded the same. I mean.
So maybe there will be like a self-driving car lane where everybody can just get in a caravan and like zoom past in a straight line.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'll be the one that never has congestion because the cars will be able to actually just go 70 miles an hour as they come off the on-ramp, but there won't be like one jerk face up at the front who's like, I'm just going to go 50 for a few minutes here so that I can make sure everything's good.
I'm hoping the self-driving cars will be pushing like 180, not 70.
Yeah, well, eventually.
I realize that this is probably something that'll take like decades and decades to do, but I'm actually looking forward to a whole lot less drunk driving.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you can just hop one of these things.
Matt, you have the choice to do that now. Just don't do it.
Well, I don't.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you do go somewhere and have too many drinks, or if you, I mean, hell, at that point, people can be their own designated driver. They can just hop in their car and be like, "Hey, car, I'm shit-faced. Take me home."
Or even the car could have a sensor that just detects alcohol content in the air as you're breathing.
Automatically takes her like, look, booze hound, I'm going to take care of this. You just sleep it off in the backseat.
The hot word to
Yeah.
trigger Google is "I'm drunk."
or
And it activates a magnet on the ceiling that's so strong it pulls your keys out of the pocket and puts them on the roof. Just
I
symbolically.
want my
'cause you won't be
self-driving
able to-
car to not have keys. I want to like be able to turn it on by PIN code.
Well, you know that Google wants to get rid of the password anyway, so I think, I mean, eventually your body will be the authenticator, and you'll just walk up.
See, I'm good with
Google
that.
could probably like assuage some fears over all this if they use some of these prototypes they're developing as like if they just roll them out to a couple of cities as like a hey, are you drunk? Call our Google cars and we'll take you home service.
Yeah, that was.
Oh man, that's so
Kind
cool.
of
Also,
All
distracted
the
driving
Google cars
would
would
be-
smell like puke.
I don't know what mothers would be against it.
They just make the inside out of vinyl and spray it out after every ride.
Oh,
There's a little
gross.
sprinkler system on the ceiling.
And they all smell like urinal mints.
Which arguably, I mean, is better than puke. So,
I don't even think that's arguable.
Arguably.
okay, I don't think it is either. You're right. It is better than vomit.
I just
All right,
want to be able
so obviously the self-driving car in mainstream use is probably something that's a ways away, but something that's involves Google and cars a little bit sooner on our horizon is the upcoming Android in the car, and it looks like we had a little bit of a sneak peek at what that interface might look like, right, Liam?
Yes, so Android in the car, which doesn't have an official name yet, but the code name internally is Gearhead, is a thing. It will be on a screen in your car. It's not clear whether it's going to be like a standalone interface or if it'll come baked into Android or how exactly the device is going to be set up. But the interface is pretty much what you'd expect. It's kind of like the Android Wear-ish, kind of bouncing colorful balls and a lot of voice of Google interaction, which is kind of when Google now is talking with you. Like it asks you for information to complete the request that you started. So if you say send a message, it says who do you want to send it to? You say that. It says what do you want it to say? And then it reads it back to you and says, okay, I'm going to send this now. And then it sends it. So the whole interface is really based around eliminating as much text and as much pressing as possible just to be mostly activated by voice with some visual reminders just in case you want to make sure you know what's going on. So we have a few instances of what those interfaces are going to look like. It's going to focus mostly on navigation, obviously, music, your actual car itself, search, and phone calls and messages. So yeah, it's not clear how third-party apps are going to fit into this. I'm sure that they will, but I don't know if it's going to be a situation where the apps are actually installed on your car or if it's streaming, like casting the content from your phone to your car, because it has to be connected by Bluetooth to send messages and make calls, obviously. So I would assume that you'd be able to cast kind of like Chromecast to your car, but we're not really sure yet.
I'm wondering if there's going to be like a separate mode that is engaged when the car is not moving, if it'll be able to tell or whatever. Because, you know, I'm thinking that, well, first of all, like search. Okay, so search is going to be pretty much useless except for maps if it's limited the way it should be.
Why?
Well, I mean, what, do you want to pull up Google search results while you're doing 60 on the highway?
Well, but the point is that Google now is switching, it's shifting more towards voice results. So you ask it a question and it tells you the answer with its voice. Like, you know,
well,
I mean,
sure, and
knowledge
that
graph.
works. That works okay for you know, some search aspects. That works okay for contacts, for example. That works okay for you know, for.
Well, I mean, you can look up restaurants, you know, just general like celebrity questions, stuff like that. It talks back a fair amount, I think. And I don't think we're done seeing what's new with Google search yet. I think that there's things that we haven't seen yet.
I guess what I'm getting at is kind of the bread and butter of Google search is returning web results, and I don't think it's going to be able to do that unless it's got a part.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if that's going to be their approach for the foreseeable future on mobile specifically. So like phones, tablets, and cars. On phones and tablets, it makes a lot more sense to see the results page, which is the blue links. But they might I mean, they're obviously continuing to try to shift focus away from that and try to tell you more without you having to read anything, which is always a benefit. But yeah, it is going to be limited to some extent, just because you should not be reading in the car, obviously.
Right. But I think the important thing is you have to kind of balance it, because people are going to have this in their car, also going to have smartphones. So if you limit it to the point where you're not going to be able to do what you want to do, then people are just going to be right back on their smartphones.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of making it easy enough to do the things that you want to do without getting irresponsible. So like the message thing, like the fact that it doesn't require you to press a button, or it doesn't actually even bring up the text on screen to show you what you just said. It just tells you and then it sends it. Like that's a shift away from how the interface even works right now. That's more car friendly, I would say.
Agreed. All right, so that's not the only interface we got to look at this week. Also, a new, supposedly a new Gmail interface got shown off in some photos that we saw in Google Plus this week. Not the most official of sources, but you know, some track record there, right, Liam?
Yeah. So this is the guy who posted the shots of the new Google Plus interface, which they weren't totally accurate, but it's clear that it was like an early testing version. A few things changed, but the general overall interface was the same. So he seemed believable, but this time he posted photos of the Nexus 7 running a Gmail app that he said was you know, another testing version with a new interface. And this interface, he didn't show anything besides the main view. It didn't have a hamburger. It had the new drop-down kind of thing where presumably all of your inboxes and labels and everything would be stored. So, I mean, that was the big story. But Roman Nurek came around on Google Plus and said, you know, the hamburger navigation item is not dead yet. It's not going anywhere. He didn't specifically specify whether it's going to show up in Google Apps going forward or what their plan is to use it. My guess is that they're going to continue to use it in contexts where it makes sense, like Gmail. But he also said it's very easy to mock up a UI and throw it on your device, implying that the Gmail interface was fake. It was suspicious to begin with, but it's probably not real. But who knows?
I
We
guess
know
we'll just have to kind of keep our eyes peeled for that one.
Yeah, we're expecting a large Gmail overhaul, but this probably is not it.
All right, so one new little bit of interface we had this week regards the the Play Store through the web interface. It hasn't been something that's been, I'd say, in all that high of demand, simply because obviously the Play Store has a dedicated app on mobile, and why wouldn't you just use that? Well, the Play Store app doesn't include devices, so there's that, and now it looks like Google has finally kind of addressed this by giving us a mobile interface to the Play Store that you could use alternatively. So, what's new in the mobile web interface there, Liam?
Yes, I mean it's just a more mobile-friendly experience. You know, it looks a lot better than, because the actual web Play Store has a lot of rather small elements that are a lot easier to point to with a mouse than your finger. But now you can order a Nexus from your Nexus or from your iPhone or iPad. So I don't think that this was a feature that everybody was clamoring for, but I think it's a good move. I mean, for a site that obviously is influenced by so many best practices, everything is Ajax, everything is Google's new image format and everything. So to not have a mobile interface kind of didn't make sense in the first place, but now they do, so all's well.
So you can use the mobile web interface to send apps to devices other than the one you're using, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the main use for me, because
awesome.
Sometimes I'm using one device and I need to install an app on a different one, and I've gone on, I've like used the regular desktop web Play Store on an Android device before,
and it's painful,
horrendous. So I will probably make fairly extensive use of this.
Yeah.
The problem that I'm going to have with it is anytime I try to do something like that, I'm going to have to go into settings and apps and clear my defaults, because I've got every single Play link automatically opening up in the Play Store, which is annoying when you click on a link to a device listing, because it just takes you to a listing not found type page.
Right.
All All right, so let's talk a little bit about YouTube Music, because this is something we've seen pop up in the APK teardowns of YouTube for quite some time, and this talk has been about a music service, a subscription-based service that may or may not have multiple various features that allow you to listen to whatever you want, whenever you want. And, well, despite the fact that it's been in APK teardowns for quite some time, it's still not here. But, Liam, we might have some news this week as to why that's taken so long, right?
Yeah, so we've seen things like background playing or screen off playing or offline playing for a long time now, and there's been a lot of rumors about YouTube starting its own music subscription service. But evidently, if sources are to be believed, this hasn't happened yet because Google is shopping around a non-negotiable contract that is not favorable to some labels. Specifically, independent artists and smaller labels are not happy about it because apparently it offers lower rates than competitor services, which I thought was kind of weird because they compared it to things like Rdio. But in my mind, I mean, there's got to be something else to the YouTube Music thing, right? Like, I can't imagine them having two subscription-based music services, right? Does this make sense to anybody?
Yeah, no, I still find it completely baffling.
I just think
I don't know what they could do, because I mean, you can already go on YouTube and watch music videos of
right.
everything, and
So
I mean, they're not going to put that behind a paywall. That would be insane.
I'm just thinking, like, is there extra content? Like, there has to be some kind of angle that we don't know about yet.
Maybe you'll have to have a YouTube Music subscription to, like, do screen-off playback or something that people have been clamoring for.
I guess so. I don't really know that I would pay $8 a month for that, but maybe there's somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't either, but there are probably some people who would.
I wonder if they're going to work out some sort of deal for people who are already subscribed to All Access and give it to them for cheaper if they want it.
A lot like that, the premium pocket service or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully those folks looked at the comments on every article that was written about that, because it was pretty universally negative.
Yeah.
They should fix that.
I thought the email that they sent out this morning was kind of, like, strange. It was like, yay, we're charging you money now.
Well, I mean, like, I really like Pocket. I would really like to give them money so that they continue to exist, but it's hard to justify $5 a month.
Right.
I mean, what Instagram is like $1 a month, right?
Yeah. So that So going back to YouTube,
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about something completely different.
No, this connects, I promise. But I don't understand why, if somebody is going to pay $8 a month for background playback, I mean, functionally, there's no real added value to that. If you're going to pay $8 a month for something, you could pay it for All Access, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some other.
There's some facet to this that we're missing.
Yeah, we're just not thinking big enough. Google's
yeah, exactly.
for however many years now. They must have something.
Time riff.
So
we were
guys,
already well in the next two topics, and you guys just kept going. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then Google Plus caught up.
Oh.
Okay.
You guys are still talking about that. Awesome.
Well, it was weird because I mentioned the whole Pocket thing, and then nobody said anything for like 30 seconds. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll move on. I started on the next topic.
And then it played like
and then it was
2
like,
or 3 minutes.
And then it just like got all caught up like all at once, and you guys had actually talked about the whole Pocket thing.
Well, that's weird. We totally didn't even hear you move on.
I think probably what happened here is not that
I got all the way through the Google.
No, it's probably not that Hangouts was messed up. It's probably just the time is moving at a different rate for you and us. There's something wrong with the fabric of the universe, which is actually a bigger problem than Hangouts being screwed up. So, oops.
Not on Thursdays.
All right, well, are we done talking? Because I didn't hear any of that. I don't know if we got it recorded or not, but...
I think so. I think we're ready to move on to Google Camera.
All right, so an update rolled out this week to the new Google Camera app, and all over the
Your first one was much better.
It was
Matt.
much better than that. I'm just like totally off my shtick. All right, so another.
It's like your internal biological clock back.
It is. I got to rewind it back to the time continuum that I was on before this thing started.
Right, the one where you like, we're good. Go to that one.
All right, so an app rolled out this week to the new Google Camera app, and it's an overall theme of returning features that were previously available. So if you happen to be longing for some of those dead features like 16:9 photos, photo timers, this is an update that will excite you greatly. Of course, the thing to remember with the 16:9 photos is that is going to reduce your megapixel count down to, I believe it was 6 megapixels on the Nexus 5. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. There's also a few new panorama options, fisheye and wide angle. Fisheye gives a small world type photo, while the new wide angle option is a kind of a combination of the horizontal and vertical panos that allow you to kind of put together and stitch together several photos to make a really just overall large picture that's many, many more megapixels than the sum of its parts. Okay, it's not actually that, but it's still pretty cool. So anyways, the update's rolling out in waves. It's available for some folks now, but if you're impatient, there's a link on the website. You can download away.
Google is slowly turning on newer, cleaner app results in its search app. You know what I'm talking about when you search for something and it returns the apps built into your phone, and you have a vertical list that goes on to infinity and a whole bunch of white space and a whole bunch of very small tap targets. Well, that's now been changed. Now your highest likely results apps are presented in a very tappable, touchable way. Pretty nice interface. It's a server-side change, so it may be rolling out to your device. I would imagine the newer devices with KitKat and later we're going to be probably seeing that first, but who knows? I'm speculating as I am sometimes off to do.
All right, so there's a new update to Google Maps that's rolling out this week that brings back the terrain mode to show you mountains and valleys right there on your otherwise flat map. It's, of course, a little bit less visually detailed than the 3D Google Earth view, but probably a lot more accurate. There's also some UI tweaks in there, including an added map preview and start navigation button on the bike and walking directions, and public transit directions kind of got shifted around a little bit with a little bit of a larger emphasis placed on the times, because obviously those are pretty critical with public transit.
Android Device Manager was updated to 1.2. This update allows you to sign into a friend's device into guest mode and remotely disable or wipe your device, lock it if it gets lost. Pretty cool if you're not near a computer. Grab your friend's phone, hop into the Android Device Manager, which they're sure to have downloaded onto their phone, and you can remotely do those things.
All right, let's move on to the hot sheet. All right, so everything finally became official with the LG G3 this week. It was announced on, what was it, Tuesday, I think? And there was a whole lot of not surprise, pretty much to anyone who listens to the show or reads the site or anything, because everything was pretty much leaked out before. But anyways, we at least got to see what the final package is going to look like, maybe put a little bit of end to the metal versus plastic speculation, right?
Yeah. So the phone has lasers, and that's pretty much all you need to know about it. It's got lasers. You should buy it. But no, it has a laser autofocus system for the camera. Apparently, according to LG, it's faster than other devices. They specifically called out phase shift or phase detect autofocus, whatever Samsung uses. They said that it's faster than that, which is good. I mean, the Galaxy S5 already focuses pretty quickly. So aside from the lasers, it is a 5.5-inch screen, and it is Quad HD, that's 1440p. It's the first sort of mainstream flagship phone that's going to launch at that resolution. Everything else we've seen this year has been 1080p. I think Oppo's Find 7 is supposed to be 1440p, but it's not quite out yet, just the Find 7a. So it also is a Snapdragon 801. There will be options for both 2 and 3 gigs of RAM. I think the 16 gig storage model will be 2 gigs, and then it's 3 gigs for the 32 gigabyte version. I mean, this is probably going to be kind of the phone for people that are really concerned about having the best specs. Of course, it also has this kind of metallic casing. They didn't really specify like what it's made out of. I don't. Did we ever find out for sure if it's metal or plastic? I haven't paid enough attention after the announcement, but it sure looks like metal. Does anybody know for sure?
The G3.
I don't know for sure.
I'm thinking
it's plastic.
Yeah, the G3 is not metal. It is plastic.
I mean, they probably
skin.
would have said they would probably have gone out of their way to say that it was.
Well, the thing is, they keep saying metallic and titanium.
Yeah, I mean, they were
words.
really like evasive about it with all of the branding and in all the press shots. It looks super shiny. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
that, like,
they were definitely being misleading about it, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it'll be lighter, but so and then also on the back that is probably plastic that looks like metal stupidly. It has those rear-facing buttons again, but the software looks, at least on the surface, improved. It has a proper multitasking button now in LG's UI. It's all on-screen buttons. They went with this circle motif. They really emphasized how much they love circles, even though their smartwatch is going to be square. So, at least maybe they'll have a shot at getting the software closer, because that was really the big problem with the G2, that the software was kind of not so good. But I guess we'll find out what happens with this when you can actually buy one. It's going to be on a number of carriers, I'm sure, all over the world. But the big four in the US have all announced that they'll have it. It'll start at $200 on contract as usual. Also, I think Sprint and T-Mobile are doing giveaways where if you sign up for more information about the phone, they're giving away like one phone a day. T-Mobile is actually calling it a beta phone giveaway. I'm not sure if there's actually going to be anything different about these so-called beta units of the G3, but I guess if you want to maybe have a very small chance of winning a free phone, you can sign up for that.
So one of the cool things I kind of thought was nice is that it actually appears as though it's going to have Qi charging built into it, right out of the gate. Was that something I misread, or does that seem accurate from what we saw?
Yeah, it should have wireless charging built in, which is nice considering the OnePlus One and the Galaxy S5 both lack that feature. And I mean, to add it to the Galaxy S5, you have to buy the $30 replacement bag.
Let's not single out the S5 though, because like every Samsung device has had it in a separate $40.
Yeah, that's just Samsung's thing. I don't know why. It's very strange that they engineer the device to be like, it's look how thin it is, and then you add the replacement back, and it increases the thickness by a not insignificant amount.
Well, that's probably why it's not on there by default. That and the fact that they could.
Well, I mean, if they
make more money off of it,
if they built it into the phone, I feel like it wouldn't be a big problem. Like they could probably do it without making the phone, a huge amount thicker. I mean, you look at other phones that have it built in; they're not, a vastly different thickness than the Galaxy S devices are.
I think probably the only other thing that was really kind of surprising to me was that I don't think did we see the pink and purple? Did we see those ones show up anywhere?
I don't think so, but I mean those. I'm sure that those will probably only be available as like on the unlocked international SKU at least for a while, and then they might come to actual carrier devices that people buy like partway through the device's life cycle.
It was interesting if you read the press release because they listed kind of the colors it was going to be available in, and let me pull that up real quick because there's very obviously a pink version of this phone. However, when you go to the colors, they list it as where is it? Burgundy red.
Yeah. Well, you see, and that sort of makes me think again that these press shots are just super done up to make them look more metallic. Because that's definitely looks really shiny and pink, but I mean it could be they just went a little overboard trying to make it look more premium in press shots.
Yeah.
I'm back.
We missed
That's
you.
good.
I threw like 3 topics to you while you were gone. You didn't answer any of them.
Chrome just like died. It was just like, okay.
They must have updated the Hangouts plugin because we're having all sorts of issues on this end.
Yeah.
So this is where Bob proves his worth, because somehow he's going to make a usable show out of all of this.
It's called Cut Everything Out. That sounds like crap.
Well, we still have a weekly show, so I'm
the
not sure
show
that that's
will
general
be
policy.
5 minutes long. That'll be a
It's
quick
actually
listen
just
for
the
everybody.
intro song.
Yeah, it's just the intro and then the outro.
No, those sound
because
like
half
crap.
the outro sounds bad.
And he'll stitch in the voicemail, since that came from a third-party source. All right, so let's talk about some tablets, or a tablet, I should say, Toshiba tablet. The Excite Go 7-inch tablet was announced this week, running Android 4.4, and it's a pretty low price point, so I guess it's got that going for it, right, Cam?
That is the only thing it has going for it. It's $110. But for $110, you have to expect a $110 tablet. I think really the most disappointing feature is a 1024 by 600 resolution. I mean, God, that's just awful. I bet it's the same panel from the Excite 7 that I reviewed, like, I don't know, it's been over a year ago. But, yeah, I mean, it's just that low of a resolution is just, no. I mean, it only has 8 gigs of storage, has a gig of RAM, and it's got a quad-core Atom processor. I honestly think if they could have kept it at the same price point and bumped it up to a 1280 by 800 display, this would be a hell of a deal. I mean, $110, that would be a really, really good deal if it just had that higher resolution screen. But the screen just kills it, I think. Even for $110, I think the screen kills it. Because I mean, you could find a used Nexus 7 for around that price, and it's better than that.
So I'm trying to remember, Cam, didn't you do a review on an Excite a couple years ago that you really liked and thought was really good bang for the buck?
That was the Excite 7.7, and that's, to this day, that is still one of my favorite Android tablets that has ever existed.
So it's got to be disappointing to see this one kind of come in so far under spec.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the same way I felt about the Excite 7 when I reviewed it last year. I'm pretty sure the first words of the review were "Toshiba pisses me off." I think that was like verbatim what I said just to start the review off, because yeah, the Excite 7.7 was one of the best tablets that I used for the Tegra 3 era, and I mean, it was just an amazing tablet. Actually, my wife still uses that tablet, and she still likes it. So, but yeah, they've done nothing but basically just budget garbage since then.
All right, so details have finally emerged about the release and pricing of the AT&T PadFone X, and here they are. June 6th, $199. Of course, that's on contract. You can get it for $22.92 per month for 18 months or $29.80 for 12 months. Some things to consider is that this buys you not only a phone, but also the tablet dock, which isn't a bad deal if you're looking for both a tablet and a phone, and your budget's pretty limited. The downside, of course, is there are definitely phones out there with better specs than the PadFone X, but none of them are going to be as good at showing off pictures of your dog, so keep that in mind.
Sony finally released its long-awaited XSP-N1BT. You may be wondering what that means, as I was when I first read this. The Sony XSP-N1BT is a double-DIN smartphone car stereo phone mount. It basically your phone acts as the touchscreen interface for the receiver, behind which there's a small LCD that you can still use your limited car stereo functions without your phone in there. But you can basically pair your phone via NFC for quick pairing or Bluetooth and play your device's music, etc. All through this device. It's available for $250 on Amazon and Crutchfield. The Sony XSP-N1BT.
Catchy name.
It is very
Really
catchy.
super catchy.
Yep.
Yeah, we actually went hands-on with that at CES, and it was very cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't the wireless charging thing only work on Sony devices?
Only on Sony phones, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty lame.
I think there's very specific features that only work on Sony phones on that, but that's the main one, and only because it's, it's not like Qi charging. It's proprietary pin
That
bullshit.
shouldn't even be a thing on Sony's phones. If they should just have Qi.
Sony always though does proprietary stuff.
I'm pretty sure it gave you a dongle for charging other things, but it was like clunky and stupid looking.
They always
Yeah,
Sony
I think you're right.
They always make it so that if you pair their accessories with their devices, you're going to get the best experience, which is reasonable. But ultimately, when it's not open standards, especially for things like charging, how many of these are they going to really sell? The Uber, the Sony fanboys are going to buy them, but is there really a mass market for these $250 for Fuji features?
I mean, I could
It's
almost
so weird hearing somebody say Sony fanboys.
I mean, they exist, I'm sure, but I could almost forgive this if Sony actually sold its flagship phones in the U.S. in a way that made even a shred of sense. Because you can't, if you want to buy the Z2 right now, you have to go to Amazon and buy the international version for like $650, and that's ridiculous. It should be on a carrier. I don't know why it's not.
Well, T-Mobile just had their, what was the ZS or whatever they just released?
Z1S. It was it's their version of the Z1, which is last year's.
Yeah,
so,
it was a bet. I think it had some spec bumps somewhere or another, but I feel like T-Mobile probably would have been the first one to jump on this phone if it wasn't for we just released one like 3 months.
I mean, I think they do that every year. They did the same thing with the phone previous to that too, where they launched their version of it a couple months later. I mean, it's just like HTC announces the one, and like 2 weeks later you can buy it on carriers. It baffles me that Sony can't put together a distribution deal in the U.S. so that people will actually buy their phones.
Yeah.
It's sad because I want like a Z2.
Yeah, the Z2 looks like a cool phone. It certainly is competitive with like the HTC One M8 and the Galaxy S5, but I mean for most people, if the only way you can buy it is on Amazon.
Right.
All right, so the release of the new HTC One M8 brought along with it a new version of HTC Sense that up until now was only available on their newest handset. Well, that changed this week as both Sprint and Verizon pushed out the Sense 6 update to last year's HTC One M7. The update, of course, brings along several visual changes that you can expect to see right away, as well as an updated Blink Feed app, an updated Camera Gallery app, and an updated TV app.
U.S. Cellular's Galaxy S3 customers are getting a KitKat over-the-air software update for their device, which includes phone dialer features, enhanced camera, Hangouts, OK Google, and emoji everywhere. So if you still got the Galaxy S3 on U.S. Cellular, which I'm sure there's quite a few still out there, head on out, get your KitKat over-the-air software update.
So I'm trying to think if you had bought a Galaxy S3 when it came out on a 2-year contract and the new full 2-year rules apply, I think you'd just be now getting eligible for an upgrade or the next couple of months. So.
Well, it might have hit U.S. Cellular later than the initial release of the S3, right?
Actually, I think it was pretty close. I think U.S. Cellular might even have had it before Verizon. Just remember because I was really excited about that when it came out. Finally, the Galaxy Note 2 users on Sprint are seeing an update roll out to KitKat, and it's the same upgrade we saw roll out to international users back in April, but thus far Sprint is the first U.S. carrier to bring it. The update is rolling out over the air, so make sure you are checking your updates obsessively. I think that's going to do it for device updates. Let's move on to voicemail.
The number you're trying to reach. The number you're trying to reach. The number you're trying to reach. Enough already. Somebody answer the phone.
I wanted to play that again. We haven't played it in a few weeks. That was a sounder that Piper the DJ made for us. Piper the DJ is he's really become a weekly installment on the show. And he didn't fail to deliver this week either. This week's voicemail transcription of Piper the DJ. Hello, Auntie. It's your favorite whole rack. This week's questions you can. So development. Oh, devices. Given that you have the resources available, what device with your developer for the mobile community? And why enclaves of the DJ taking trans auto transcription When we get the time, good night, bye. And we're going to play the message here as well. If you guys can take a stab at what he was asking there, we'd like to hear it. Throw it in the chat.
Hello, AP. It's your favorite towel rack. This week's question is concerning development of devices. Given that you had the resources available, what device would you develop for the mobile community and why? I'm Piper the DJ, taking the trans out of transcription 1 week at a time. Good night.
He's taking the training.
So does that mean that in a few weeks we'll have syscription?
Syscription. It could be. We didn't hear from Brian this week, so we need to get on that. Frank Friedel still owes us one from about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's dead to me, though.
He's dead to me.
I wouldn't answer the question even if he did call now. You hear that?
When you had all the resources necessary, what device would you develop for the mobile community?
Are we
Not
talking
necessarily
unlimited resources? Like you could do.
Well, the resources necessary to develop what you want to bring to the community is how I took it.
Safe to say that you have a giant mine full of unobtainium. Just proceed as if you had.
That's my favorite kind of.
Okay, well, if I have an unlimited supply of resources and workers to throw in a problem, even if it causes their untimely demise, I would probably.
Oh, it sounds like Apple and Foxconn.
I would make I would make a modular smartphone of some sort a reality. Whether it's if it's like the thing Google's doing or something else. Like I just really am picky about devices, which is why I can never just have one at a time. If I could have a phone that I could disassemble and like put different components on, and just make it the device that I wanted to use on a day-to-day basis, that would be ideal for me, and I think ideal for at least several people like me. And if we're talking about unlimited resources, then I'm doing it, and to hell with it not selling.
Okay, so with unlimited resource, I would actually make an Android tablet with 0 audio latency, so it could actually be used for music recording. And since I have unlimited resources, I would also get with all of the developers who develop hard and software like that for the iPad and make them make it for Android. That's what I would do.
Force them.
I would be like, look, guys, I'm willing to pay whatever it takes because I have unlimited resources, so you're going to make this shit. Because
you would just hire some jackbooted thugs to go to everybody's house and say, look, we need you to port this app to Android. Cameron says
that's exactly what I would do. So it would be, because ultimately, I mean, that was the whole reason I bought an iPad in the first place, and that's basically what I use it for all the time, and it's so damn good at it. I would like to see some competition there from Android, and that's probably pretty selfish of me, so it's not really delivering that for the community. It's really delivering it for my damn self. But you know what? I'm sure there are other people out there who would appreciate it as much as
the community will appreciate Cameron being happy.
Yeah,
he likes to watch lots of chainsaw movies.
A happier, more pleasant Cameron.
Yeah, I would be.
If we could just figure out what would make David happy, then everybody would just be so much better off.
Oh my God, I don't think that's possible.
What about you, Liam?
Okay, so if I had unlimited resources, I think I'd probably buy Google, and then I would use them to make.
Liam's answer is already the best.
I would use Google's power, their search already, and I would hire a bunch more developers, and we would make the zero interface device, which would be, I don't know if it would be an implant or if it would be a hearable, like a little ear thing, but it would be the device that has no visual interface at all. It might talk to you, but it's smart enough to know what you want to do and act on your behalf.
It could be the Google Babelfish.
So will your magical device be able to live my life for me? Will it take away all of the guesswork? Can I just autopilot everything?
I mean, you still have to walk around, and you still have to go to sleep and eat and stuff. But
can't you just have a design device that walks for me?
If there's something that you need, then it will figure that out for you.
Has everyone seen Surrogates with
Yes.
That's basically what you're
what
asking.
I was getting at. Yeah. If you
Okay,
could just design me a virtual, like a robotic body that I connect to virtually, that would be fine too.
See, I was actually thinking that
and-
I would do something with an exoskeleton that would make me like have superhuman powers. But to make it fit in the show, it would also like have a Google Glass built in or something.
Man,
I think that as a version 1.0 or 0.5 or something, it would just be one of the like first hearable technologies. Like it would be an earpiece that was Google in your ear, basically. So if you had like a high priority notification card on Google Now, like if you needed to leave, it would be like, hey, you should leave right now to get to this place. But then the more advanced version would just go ahead and like call you a car or something like that.
Most advanced one would recognize that there's a fight about to break out in the bar you're in and also tell you should leave now.
Yes. You should leave right now before you get hit in the face with a chair.
But the thing, okay, so like the alternative to like the glass backlash for like an implanted device is going to be people shooting EMP pulses at your head to fry your Google brain, which I think is probably going to be a much bigger problem.
Well, how would you know if somebody had one, though?
They're just too good at everything. If somebody's like really smart, you'll just assume they have the Google chip in their head, and then people will target them.
If somebody is always on time and everything they want just seems to happen, and like they just know the answer to everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And
this is going to sound really weird, but this
is really dumb.
Also, I think
this is going to sound weird or whatever, but this concept totally took place in a book.
I'm sure it's taken place in many books.
Yeah, it was the Ansible in Speakers for the Dead. That's exactly what it was.
But I think this is something that Google wants to do. Like they want Google Now to understand like what kind of person you are and like what you want and how to help you get that. But also, I would like a way to. I guess I would build this using my unlimited resources since we're playing with house money. I'd build a way to catalog basically your entire house. So in the same way that you go on your computer and search for a file, you could search for like that pair of shoes that I haven't seen in a month, and it would be like, oh, it's in the closet.
I have fantasized about this exact technology existing since I was like 8 and I lost a coloring book.
You would just put like a Project Tango like sphere in every room, and it would spin around and capture everything and be like, oh, that's a folder, that's a pencil, that's like a shoe.
And Google Google would love to have all that data, especially the Google owned by Liam Spradlin.
Yeah, exactly. We would know everything you own.
So the device that I would create is more a tool for the community, and it's called the Root Wand. And you basically tap any device you have, and it automatically roots your device.
That's like magical technology. That's like
hey.
I feel like you could
have
start
the magical resources necessary to do such things.
If you put that on Kickstarter, you'll be a millionaire. Faster than reading Rainbow, guys.
Oh,
do I even have to do it?
No, put it on Indiegogo with Flex funding.
Root Wand.
Yeah, really.
You heard it here.
Later, people would be like, "Hey, is this ever coming out?" And you'd be like, "No."
The ultimate release from accountability is Indiegogo with Flex funding.
Yeah. Especially now that they changed their FAQ to wash their hands of the whole fraud thing.
Yes.
And there are definitely some scammy things happening on Indiegogo.
I would totally, by the way, I would totally buy the Root Wand as long as it was also a bootloader unlock wand.
Come on, now you can't have it all. Not even in a perfect world.
I'm sure Cyanogen would release the Cyanogen mod wand as well. The nightly wand, if you will.
Cyanogen
I'm just putting this out there right now. The intellectual property's mine. If you decide to create a Root Wand, please, give Bob like $20 or something so I can buy pizza.
Just give Bob a free Root Wand.
Give me a Root Wand. And it also vibrates for long car trips.
It's you could market it as dual purpose. It could be a personal massager too.
Personal massager / Root Wand.
It makes you feel good in many ways. That could be the slogan.
It's explicit purposes massaging your back, by the way.
Yeah, technically.
Where else would you massage? Weirdo.
Massaging your root.
Yeah. Okay. No.
My root is my back.
Should probably move on.
Maybe your spine. That could be your.
Any giveaways going on, Matthew?
There is. There's a nice international giveaway from Android Police and Bitdefender. It's a 16 gigabyte Galaxy S5 and a Galaxy Gear. Well, not Galaxy Gear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got my branding confused. The Gear Fit. Also up for grabs. So head on over to androidpolice.com/contest and get yourself entered to it.
If the gear fits, wear it. We hope you enjoyed the shibba-hibba.
I love the shibba-hibba.
I always forget to switch the. I have to switch the sounder to the other channel so that my voice is separate. We hope you enjoyed the show. As always, send your feedback to podcast@androidpolice.com. You can also call us at 530-HELLO-AP. That's 530-435-5627. Find us on Twitter at Android Police, Google Plus, and Facebook.
Hey, so did we read the transcript while my Chrome was crashing all over the place?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Totally missed it.
sadly.
You totally missed it. We're not doing it again. Ah!
I can make one up.
Please do. That would be...
Hello, AP. This is Bob. That Android you are is. I was wondering, could you come to Developer the community? Because it is that way. We hope to see you soon. Good night. Okay.
That was far too coherent.
Oh, sorry.
I can read it.
My bad.
I'm sniping your peel. Oh, sorry.
What did you say? I'm siphoning your peanut balls?
No, I said I'm sniping your peel.
I'm sniping your pee hole?
That's
I'm just trying to think of all the random things it says when you say, I'm Piper the DJ. I'm typing a J.
They've never said I'm sniping your pee hole, though.
I know.
But if they want to say that the next time they call in, that would be...
Dear Google Transcription, if you're listening to our podcast, which I'm sure you do, please say I'm sniping your pee hole.
I don't even know
Wow.
how to turn that into.
Do you think that the transcription would say that, though? Like, I wonder what kind of filters there are.
I dare Piper the DJ to actually say I'm sniping your pee hole, because
This is for science.
more than likely it'll actually say I'm Piper the DJ when it's transcribed.
Yes.
You would think after a while it would just
You should be able to reverse engineer it. I mean, it should totally be doable.
Yeah,
You
well,
guys
it's
ever
like...
seen... Go ahead.
In Google search, if it gets something wrong, then you can like click on it and say, no, this is the word that it said. So why doesn't transcription open up like that, and you can click on a word and say like, no, this didn't say hello auntie, this said hello IP.
And you teach it right. You should be able to train transcription.
It would have
Has
so
anybody
much
ever
information.
Has anybody ever seen the video where somebody sang the theme to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then they translated it through Google Translate, through
Oh my God,
every
yes.
language Google Translate offers successively, and then back to English, and
Somebody
recorded a
did
video of
that
somebody singing it?
with the Frozen song too, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, Rhett and Link have been doing that. They make up funny skits, funny scripts, and then they'll let the Google translate it on the YouTubes, and then they'll re-record it, and then transcribe it again, and then re-record it. So it's pretty fun. It's fun.
It's fun.
By the end, it's like a really horrible game of telephone.
A game of telephones.
That's how every conversation at work goes.
All right, I'm sniping your pee hole. See you next week.
That's mandatory. We won't play your voicemail unless it starts with that phrase.
Unless somebody else got it to their own email box, we did not receive the requested album art for this week.
That's unfortunate.
So we're going to put a new challenge out there.
Yeah.
This
Nobody
brought
completed the
to you by
challenge.
Liam.
Really, guys?
Nobody
Here I
stepped
thought
up.
we had our own personal army. Turns out they just aren't committed enough.
My army is lazy. You're a bunch of lazy bastards.
I wouldn't say that.
So wait, we're putting out new...
We gotta have a new challenge. Last
a new
week's challenge wasn't
Last
taken.
week, that was for this week's episode art.
Yeah,
so
the
we
monkey
need-
pork chopping McNoots.
Nobody did the monkey
I
pork
forgot about
chopping.
that. Wait, can you say the whole phrase, please?
Eat monkey pork choppy McMoots.
Oh,
you.
you said it in
Dear
unison.
God, they're like twins.
So, please tell me that you watched Rejected, everyone who hadn't seen it before.
Yes. I've seen it before, and I still watched it after that.
Cameron?
Done neither.
Cameron!
It's a good little animated video.
I also
There's
watched
a little popcorn ball flash
I understand. I know you just like things that are intentionally funny, but this is funny in a very unique way.
Is it? I might actually find it humorous. Most of the time people are like, oh god, watch this, it's so funny. I like watch it and I'm like, god, this is so fucking stupid. So that's my normal reaction.
Keep in mind, this was created like what, Matt? 16, 17 years ago?
I think it's like, yeah, I think
So-
it's like 98.
Hey, now that actually
random
sounds promising because it might be
I was
funny.
going to say the random humor still resonates today, I think. It's still...
Yeah, well, I mean, now people try too hard to be funny on the internet, and it just drives me insane because it's usually just stupid.
One of my favorite things about, and one of the most overlooked thing from that is the sound, the audio from when the guy is obviously not wearing a silly hat. Like, the audio from that
the
section,
clinks?
yeah, the noises,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's great.
I would suggest listening to it in headphones.
There are a lot of really nice sounds in that, like when the octopus alien thing flies over and it's like an airplane engine.
Yeah, there's very good sound design.
Yes.
I was thinking about the part where everything starts to fall apart at the end.
The vacuum.
Yeah, the vacuum-esque.
It's really well done.
It is well done. Listen in some good headphones and you'll enjoy it.
The Queen of France music track is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's kind of reverby and stuff. Yeah, that's really. I am the Queen of France. Cameron's got to watch this, man.
Yeah,
part-
he's so confused right now.
The part that gets me is that the arms get so much longer while the guy has a straight face. Like, that cracks me up every single time.
I like the title cards that go in between the segments. You know, now with more
Yes.
sodium.
Sweet
Jesus.
Jesus.
Alrighty, well we'll see y'all next week.
Yes.
Unless anyone else has any stuffs that they want to say. Any other stuffs that anyone wants to say?
I just want to give a shout out to LeVar Burton for being an awesome human being. That's all I have.
I want to say to all of our listeners, I'm just kidding. You're not really that lazy. We just didn't put out the rules.
What's up with LeVar Burton?
He raised like a
He
pretty much infinite money for Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out the internet really likes Reading Rainbow.
Also, did anybody read his AMA?
No.
Not yet. I have it.
Oh my god. There are like, he just seems like such a great person. Like it just makes me feel really shitty in comparison. I just feel like such a fucking awful person because I didn't go out and help like 2 million people today.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my earliest memories is watching Reading Rainbow, the episode where he like went to the Star Trek: The Next Generation set like right after that the show started in like 1989, and that's awesome because I love both of those things.
You love today. I learned Ryan loves 1989 and Star Trek.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I could take or leave it.
In the Kickstarter video, when he got out the Jordy visor, it had its own like little box with a little plaque on it. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Also, did everybody stick around to see Data at the end of the Kickstarter video?
Yes. That's funny.
Yeah. Data with his cameo.
Brian in the chat room says that he would like to re-examine the conversation about Matt dressing as Sailor Moon.
You know, it's funny. I didn't actually have any desire to readdress that conversation. It's something I've actually avoided.
Brian would like to. So.
Well, if you have to readdress it, it means you would have had to wear the dress in the first place, so you could readdress it.
Well, Brian only gets what he wants if he calls voicemail next week with a question and begins with the magic phrase.
Brian, if you call the voicemail and say the phrase, then Matt promises that he will dress like Sailor Moon.
If you get a perfect transcription.
Ooh. See, that's an easy challenge. Everybody just talks.
It has to be like a real question. You can't just say hi.
Yeah, say something real, but if it's a perfect transcription, we can say like 150 words. Is that too much?
No, I think
150 word.
150 words, perfect transcription.
Accurate transcription, and Brian, you'll get your wish.
Oh God, I'm not comfortable with this.
Look, have you not been here for
It
the
is
last
too
few
late.
months? You know it's
David ended
never
up with
going
a
to
fire in the
happen.
face.
Verbal
No,
contract.
but I don't
But
even
you-
know.
you
I
only
don't
get
remember
one
like
shot.
where this even came from.
You only get
Definitely
one
did
chance.
not
You can't like
volunteer
keep
to
calling
do
back.
this.
Don't worry about it, Matt. Cameron never ate the shoe.
That's
I
true.
did. I did eat the shoe. You just don't remember because you
was
were there
off
when
camera.
I ate the shoe and I didn't take pictures but I promise I did it. I didn't do it.
Sure.
I didn't do it.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna get off here.
I ate the shoe and then
Yes,
I had soul.
we should end this stream so that we may all go do other things.
Okay, bye.
Yes. Bye.
Fantastic
Oh,
idea.
okay.
Peace.